When people hear follow your highest excitement, they often think quit your job, travel the world, do something really dramatic. But most of the time, my highest excitement looks like taking a walk, updating my Airbnb guidebook, returning some packages to the UPS store. And strangely enough, doing those things is what's actually changing my life. The concept of following your highest excitement that I'm referring to comes from a being known as Bashar. And he says, look at the tasks that you have in front of you and pick the one that has the most excitement, that you have the greatest degree of ability to take action on, and act on it to the best of your ability until you can take it no further, with absolutely zero expectation. That's zero expectation as to the outcome of these actions. You're simply taking action based on your highest excitement. And it's important to note that when we think of excitement, it's not always just fireworks and big emotions. It often feels like calmness and peace and stability and contentment and groundedness. From that frame of mind and using your bullet journal as a tool, you can look at the things that you have in front of you and choose the things that align with those kinds of emotions. And you'll be surprised how many times it actually is just the most basic steps that are right in front of you. To give an example, some of the things that are on my list for this week, well, of course, today it is to record this video, which is genuinely exciting to me, but the steps are not always that exciting. It is setting up the camera. It is troubleshooting software things. It is troubleshooting later on video editing and things like this. Other things that I've got in my bullet journal this week, update my credit card spreadsheet. So I have some credit card debts and I want to keep up to date on those things. This isn't just about imagining living in a mansion and having no credit card debt. Those things are great and awesome, but the step that's right in front of me right now is I choose to be a person who no longer ignores these kind of things. I don't ignore the practical things that are going on in my day-to-day life. And it is important to note the difference between the resistance that comes from fear of facing something. So, for example, something like looking at credit card debts, having to put it all together and organize it and actually check in on it regularly. Those are those kinds of fears that are worth facing because the excitement is that feeling of calm and stability, that feeling that like, it is okay. And I'm going to face whatever it is that is true, that is the reality as it is right now. I think sometimes for manifestation content, people get this idea that if they want to be in a different reality, they have to just focus on that reality and ignore the circumstances that are happening currently in your reality. But it really just never works that way. It's really important to find some kind of peace in this where you are right now. And you just have to check in with yourself, whether that is actually taking that little exciting step forward until you maybe meet some of that resistance, whether it's shoring things up right now, getting organized, decluttering, or whether it is putting it down for a little bit and taking a bath. And another thing that is important to recognize is that sometimes there are going to be things on your list that they belong to an identity that you're stepping away from. You're in the process of stepping away from that identity. Maybe you kind of wish that you were not that identity at all anymore, but yet that character or that identity that is currently with you right now needs certain actions to feel safe and stable. It might be something like switching from one source of income to another, like a business that you're kind of tired of. I'm speaking from experience here, that you'd rather leave behind, but yet you still need the income from it while you're building the new thing, or a job that you would like to step away from. And just knowing that those actions still aren't who you are. You just do your best. You do the best that you can. And know that none of the actions, even the ones that feel more aligned with what you prefer in the moment, none of it actually is you. It's all very fluid and it is all up to you to choose. Basically, this is my way of trying to get you to just calm down a little bit about when you do have to put things on your list or have to do things that you'd really prefer not to be doing anymore. Would you really prefer never to have to do again? Just chill out. It's just how things are right now, and none of it really defines you and who you truly are at your core. And inevitably, whether things happen super fast or they happen kind of more gradually and slowly, you will see, and you have your bullet journal as evidence of this, that your life does change over time. As you reflect, you see the things that you are doing on a day-to-day basis, you will notice that they are not the same as the things you did last month or the month before or last year as you kind of keep going along in this process. And so whenever my mind is shouting at me, nothing has changed, and I really just like want to be somewhere different than I am right now, and all of those kinds of things, I can look at this actual evidence that that's actually not true. Even if there are little pieces that I'd prefer to be leaving, it's a very different frequency and vibrational state to be here where you are and knowing that you are moving in the direction of what you want, and being where you are and thinking, oh my gosh, I've been here for so long and this hasn't ever changed and it's never going to change, and why hasn't it changed already? Do you see what I mean? I think it might be useful here to go ahead and go through Bashar's 5-step formula for living in a whole life of synchronicity. So step 1 is follow your highest excitement. We kind of already talked about that. Step 2, take it as far as you can to the best of your ability. So sometimes you'll kind of get on a track of something and it just goes as far as it can for that moment. Whether it means that you have to stop because you have practical matters to take care of, or you run up against some fear or resistance or challenges, technical challenges, financial challenges, whatever it is. 3 is that you have no insistence upon the outcome. You don't want to only be taking actions because you need for it to have a particular outcome in order for you to be feeling any joy and excitement about it. And I will touch on that a little bit later in this video. I have plenty of experience with taking action from that place, and this should not come as any shock, but it never really works out. 4 is to stay in a positive state. So as much as possible, you want to stay in a state of hope and just knowing that you are moving in the right direction, even if you can't see all the steps from getting from point A to point B, or A to Z, however you want to call it. 5 is to reevaluate your beliefs. So that's where you might run up against some resistance. So for example, when I started this YouTube channel, I started from a place of, okay, I want to have this business. I want to talk about bullet journaling. I want to talk about living a life that's aligned with who you really are. I want to talk about the big picture of things and vibration and frequency and how powerful we are. And I also love bullet journaling, and I love the process of it. I love the designing, the aesthetic of it, and I love just writing my day-to-day tasks on paper and just kind of romanticizing just the mundane things that I do in my day-to-day life. And it's just something I really love and I love to talk about. But I wanted to make a business out of it. Okay, so I will go ahead and buy this course and I will learn how to make a course, and then I will sell a course on bullet journaling. And so I went along that path for a while, but it didn't ultimately pan out because the resistance I ran into was, I don't want to do it that way. What I was learning was all about the marketing things that you learn out there, right? Here's how you do copywriting. Here's how you write a sales page. You should use this payment processor because it has the best conversion rates. Here's how you really show that you understand that customers' pain points and that you're going to solve all of their problems. And here's how you make a graphic that shows they're going to get so much so that they know when they pay you the money that they're getting this huge value. But I just ran into a wall, and the resistance was, I genuinely do not really feel aligned with doing business that way. And some people out there would say that that is a fear of having abundance, fear of asking for money, fear of receiving, fear of charging what you're worth, however the messaging is out there. And I thought, yeah, is that the fear that I need to overcome? But those were really not my voice either. So those were not the kinds of things and mindset shifts that I was really wanting to overcome. As I spent time in silence with myself, really being with the way that I really want to have a business and be supported, it turns out that I just simply don't want to do business that way. Really, it's that it just doesn't feel aligned for me to do business in a way that says, I have something that you lack. And I know that that's not outwardly what a lot of marketers and, online business people are saying, and I'm not saying that they're bad people. I'm only telling you genuinely why this wasn't aligned for me. I'm trying to explain this whole thing where you are questioning your belief system and saying, hey, is that true? Is that what I want to be true? Is that how I want to orient myself and my life and the trajectory of how I do my actions? So in this case, I said, I have plenty of experience with buying courses. I've talked about this on this channel before, it's probably going to come up again, but it's a big thing that I'm thinking about now because I have bought so many courses, and it's not that they had zero value at all, but almost all of them, all they did was point out to me how I did not want to do my business. And could I have actually just gotten to where I was going a lot faster by just simply moving and trying things? And when I come up against an obstacle, I go and do a little research and I figure it out on my own. And I question my beliefs again. I do this process that I'm talking to you about right now. And that's the whole point that Bashar is making, is that this more like seemingly meandering path through the unknown is actually the fastest path to getting where you want to go. Because I tried shortcut after shortcut after shortcut after shortcut, only to find myself in this place right now, wandering through the path of the unknown. So of course, I'm hoping that you will see this and be empowered to just go ahead and jump in and dive in and just take it one step at a time and let it be messy. Let it be like, oh gosh, I need to learn a new skill and I don't know if this is going to pan out. But this is where you have to detach from the outcome again. So where I stand right now in this moment with this business is I don't have all the answers. I don't know. Nobody does. That's the thing. Like, you can't follow somebody else's step-by-step program and follow exactly what they did and have it work for you necessarily. Is it going to work for some people? Sure. Statistically speaking, that's probably going to work out somehow or other. It's going to work out in the sense that they will make that income. Will they be living their very highest excitement for themselves? I don't know. But all I know is that what I really truly want at the core of my being is not to have a business that is based on that lack. It's to have a business where I'm just an embodiment of what is possible. I want to be an embodiment of what I truly want, which is to feel secure, to feel supported, to feel loved, to find people who are aligned, to be an embodiment such that you recognize something that some part of your being already knows is true and possible in you. So that's a very different feeling than I am standing here in this place of not having enough money or even having enough organization in my life, or I'm feeling very chaotic. And if I just buy this person's course, I will have that feeling of relief afterwards. But what I want is that you watch this video and you already have that feeling of relief. And if you feel called to and you have the money to do it, I have structures in place for you to leave me a donation. I have a buy me a coffee link in the first comment pinned under this video and also in the description box. So that was all about that piece of kind of rethinking about your belief systems and reevaluating and deciding where you actually want to orient your life to. But while you're doing that, while you're kind of restructuring, what I do is I let it be slow. I take that little step forward and I decide, I'm coming up with a resistance. Is this really true? Is this really aligned? While I am letting all that go on and sort itself out, and I'm sitting with myself and really sitting with the feeling of living in who I want to be, which is essentially just being myself all of the time and feeling safe and secure and living in a world full of people who are doing the exact same thing, a world full of people who know their own power and are just giving their gifts with no agenda. While I'm doing that, I'm doing also the day-to-day tasks are going to be the same things that I've been doing. The life admin, returning some things to the store, doing the organization, doing the decluttering, all of those kind of things. And little by little, instead of going way out ahead, which I have plenty of experience with that, kind of like, I'm going to ignore all of this other stuff, including even my health and things that I enjoy or time with loved ones to build this business and focus on making money so that I'll have time for those things later on. This is all about what I'm teaching on this channel here. This is what I want to say so much, that doing these little basic things for yourself where you are right now is what helps you to feel grounded as you move forward, as you face those fears that come with stepping into your power, stepping into really living the life that is truly aligned for you. To sum all of this up, you don't need to overhaul your life. You don't need to glow up in some major, huge way. You don't need to have a detailed plan from A to Z. You just need to look at what's in front of you right now, follow the things that are your highest excitement, realize that your highest excitement doesn't have to feel like what you might define as excitement. It doesn't have to feel like these elevated emotions. It can feel like calm and peacefulness and groundedness, but it can feel like excitement. It can feel like ecstasy and exhilaration, especially when it really is something that you moving forward towards being more yourself. And all the while you can do this in a way where you feel peace and you feel nurtured and you feel held because you are doing these things for yourself. You are taking time for your self-care. You're taking time to do the things that bring you joy. And you're taking the time to move forward with that creative project of yours or that big vision. Even if it's in small steps, know that you can trust it and that this really is the fastest path to getting to where you want to be, even though it seems so slow sometimes. That's all I have for this video, guys, and thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. And if you feel called, leave a comment below. Let me know if you have had experience with this kind of hustle culture, trying to follow step-by-step protocols, way of doing things, and it just hasn't worked for you. And you are now ready to just follow your highest excitement, no matter how long it takes, no matter how uncertain it seems that you're going to get a certain outcome out of it. Let me know, and I will see you in the next one.